Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast. Your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss the Bill Lawrence Appreciation Society as this week's show for episode 13, it's Stefan.
Yeah, I'm back again. We told you last week. I'm here till the end. Always here.
I'm always
every
here.
Week.
Always watching. Mate, yeah, this is going to be a weird one. Possibly not the longest show, but just the kind of one which I felt... Bill Lawrence Appreciation Society is the silly name I've given it, but it is based around TV producer, writer Bill Lawrence and certain shows that he's created which have had an impact for me, but also I think have had a real kind of cultural impact for different reasons. For anyone who doesn't know who the hell Bill Lawrence is, I'm hoping by the time we finish this show and we talk about certain TV shows that he's been a part of, you're going to be like, oh, okay, I now know who that guy is and I'm going to look out for him, etc., etc. The first Bill Lawrence show I was introduced to was a show called Scrubs.
Yes.
Now, did you watch Scrubs?
I did watch a lot of Scrubs. Didn't watch all of Scrubs, but watched a lot of Scrubs.
Yeah. It was one of those shows that was like on E4 in the UK. Like, you know, you pick it up and watch it every now and again because it was like double episodes of it every other day sort of thing.
And it was one of those really fun shows where like you could never watch it in order because you never seemed to find the next episode.
Yeah, it was sort of all over the place, which was the unique way that, you know, it came along. But for anyone who doesn't know, Scrubs is a TV series based on the life of junior doctors, like coming out of just qualified, going into your first thing. It's a US show, and it follows a character called JD, John Dorian. And what, again, and maybe people know this and apologies, it's based on a real person that Bill Lawrence was at sort of college with, and so a lot of it is based on his real experiences, his real life kind of, you know, these are the things that I was worrying about, these are the things, you know, these are the kind of situations I got into, and because of that...
Okay, I did not know that.
Okay, well, brilliant. Now, what is kind of funny then is so many medical professionals in the US especially talk about Scrubs actually being one of the more realistic medical TV shows because of it. Because it's kind of like there's humour. It is a comedy. It is a situational comedy.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy for me because to me I think of that as just a comedy show really. Like, that's crazy to think how much that is now actually based on real life.
Oh, yeah, it is. Now, what, I'll give you an example, okay, of, like, Scrubs as a TV show has that humour but there is so much heart in it. There are so many moments in that show, like, where you deal with grief, loss, and stuff like that, and the characters go through lots of different things at different times. The way it's acted, the way it's written, you care about all these people, which is really important, because if you didn't, it's just a sketch show. It's just like funny moment.
Yeah.
But to give you an example, like a real life example, one of my brothers worked as a nurse. He worked as a nurse for several years, a long time ago. And when he watched Scrubs for the first time, his exact words were, "That is the closest I have ever seen a TV show get to what my life was like."
Wow.
Now, he was obviously working in the UK, but he told me a story once, which if I didn't know him and I didn't know it was real, you would say is a Scrubs script. Like, it is literally straight out of a Scrubs thing. So my brother was working as a nurse, and unfortunately a patient crashed. Now this patient has gone into cardiac arrest, and therefore you have like systems in place like a crash team to get there, get the crash cart to try and revive them. Unfortunately, and again, a lot of people don't talk about this, not a pleasant thing to think about, is people often like lose their bladder control, etc. if you know, you have a heart attack.
Yes.
That meant that this bed and this patient basically had a puddle all around it. My brother, a nurse, very well trained, other nurses there, were getting stuff ready and knew they needed to move the bed away from the puddle, because electricity and paddles plus wet floor equals problem. A junior doctor who'd been there all of a week pushed them all out of the way like some sort of friggin' hero, charges the paddles, shouts clear as they all shout no, whacks it on this guy's chest, revives the patient, but launches himself a good 5 feet across the room. Now, you can picture this in Scrubs. Like, you would be laughing your ass off at this cocky young doctor getting fucking launched. It's funny. Like, but that was real life. That is something that happened. My brother watched it happen, had to pick that doctor up, like, you fucking idiot. Like, that is a junior doctor.
We told you.
Now, that to me, like, when he tells me stories like that and then I watch Scrubs, I'm like, oh wow, so basically so much of this is based on real stuff that you've then, you know, comic-fied. You know, you've then kind of done all this with like JD imagining things and all these aspects to it, which makes it very, very funny.
Yeah.
But it was all based on like real things. Like, there's so many stuff. Like, you watch season 1 of Scrubs, there's like loads of times he's trying to do procedures and he's terrified that he's going to do something wrong. And then you got Turk, his best friend, who's a bit more sort of cocky, gun-ho, like, yeah, I'll give it a go, and stuff does go wrong, and it's like, oh, crap, okay. They do the whole almost like high school thing, where it's like the jocks are the surgeons, the nerds are the medical, you know.
Yeah.
They play up to all of this, and a lot of it is this real thing, in like American hospitals especially. And so you can find it online. Like, you can find countless real doctor reacts to Scrubs, and they're all just like, oh wow, yeah, that's so it. Like, they really nailed it. So
that's
because Bill Lawrence wanted the medical stuff to be correct, because he was basing this on a friend, that friend also became the consultant to the show, who would come in. So the real John Dorian would come in, not called John Dorian, but the guy that he's based on, would come in and consult and be like, yeah, that wouldn't happen. You wouldn't say that. This is how you'd say it. So they kept the medical stuff as nailed on as they possibly could.
Which is cool.
Which is very cool, because there's so much comedy and so much fun stuff. To be able to do that, I think is really important, and they did. There's a line in Scrubs, which I'm going to bring up, and you're going to laugh the minute I bring it up, where they talk about, they get, as the show goes on, you can tell the writers and everyone have kind of got to this point where it's like, there's only so many times we can have, like, there's only so many medical conditions, there's only so many, like, you can only do the same thing so many times without it being repetitive. But that in itself is funny. Like, there is a repetitive nature of being a doctor in a hospital like this, where you are seeing different patients but the same things over and over and over again. So they
if you work on a cardiac ward, you're going to see a lot of heart attacks here.
Exactly. And like, they have this one scene where it's like the local news station says, oh, if you've got these symptoms, you could have E. coli, and all the doctors are watching it like, like, here we go. And they all arrive in the emergency room and they're like, oh, this isn't too bad. And they're like, thousands of people rock up. It's like, oh, great, here we go. Another TV-induced mass panic. So, like, they play on all of that. But there's this one great scene where JD's a character and Elliot are talking. And Elliot says, oh, I don't know, I'm just going to go home tonight and watch Grey's Anatomy. And JD says, oh, Grey's Anatomy, that's like they took our lives and put it on TV. Now, it's a funny joke, and it's a throwaway joke, because it kind of like goes a bit meta, But Grey's Anatomy came out about 5 years after Scrubs. And there is a lot of... It's a drama more than a sitcom by a long way.
Yeah.
But there are certain similarities early on where, like, characterization. So a lot of people said, like, oh, Grey's Anatomy is, like, literally a non-comedy rip-off of Scrubs. And so they put that line in, which always makes me laugh every time, like, if I catch that.
That's good. From someone who has watched 15 seasons, I think it is now, of Grey's Anatomy, because my wife adores it.
Yeah.
Those first 2 seasons where the main characters are still like the interns and stuff. Yeah, there's a lot in there that could be on the other show, very much so, yeah.
Well, it's just kind of funny because it's just this throwaway line, like, oh, it's like they took our lives and put it on TV. And it's a TV show. I mean, it's just mental. But if you, like I said, so I'm talking about Bill Lawrence. Now, if, for example, you didn't know who Bill Lawrence was at the start of the show, but you had watched Scrubs, I'm hoping, therefore, you now got a feel for the type of writer he is, the type of shows he creates. Now, the next show of his that I watched, so towards the end of Scrubs, Courtney Cox joined the cast. Courtney Cox had left, Friends had finished, and she joined the Scrubs cast for a whole season as the new chief of medicine.
Do you know he met her on... He actually wrote an episode of Friends back in 1995.
Well, there you go.
The episode was the one with the candy hearts, was written by Bill Lawrence.
Well, there you go. She joined the cast, and then he wrote a show. Now, this is kind of hilarious. They got on really well. He thought the character on the Scrubs didn't really work. Like, it just didn't... I don't know, it didn't really work. But he wrote a show with her off the back of it called Cougar Town. And to say that this show went off the rails is an understatement, right? So Bill Lawrence wrote this show, Cougar Town, and the original concept, was a woman in her 40s suddenly becomes single, like the husband's left, all this stuff. She's got other friends in sort of mid to late 40s, and they're living in a part of Florida where, like, loads of, like, younger men are sort of, like, kicking around in their 20s, and they're all suddenly, like, interested in them. And it's like the whole idea, like, cougar, the older woman hunting her prey sort of thing. So the whole concept was, like, supposed to be a comedy around women at that age dating younger men, and that was where the comedy was going to be, because she'd have, like, a son who was, like, a teenager. And yeah, so there was loads of aspects to it that was meant to be funny, and that was where it started. So that's why it was called Cougar Town.
Yeah.
They got halfway through season 1 in the writer's room and realised that as a situational comedy, just with her family and with all the characters they were creating, it was actually funny as hell without the kind of cougar aspect to it at all.
Oh, okay.
So the show, I think, went a good few seasons, like maybe 4 or 5 seasons, and it got to a point where they were literally taking the piss out of themselves and the title at the start of every episode. So it was like they'd have this thing with, like, Cougar Town as, like, on a signboard as, like, the opening credits, and then they'd have, like, the episode title underneath it every week. And they started doing things like Cougar Town, we trust us, we don't know why we called it that, and stuff like that. Like literally, it was just kind of like, it became like a running joke of, like, the show's called that, and it's like there's
nothing to actually do with that idea.
There is zero part of it is to do with that. It was funny. It was again a show with kind of the heart, where you cared about the characters and you kind of wanted them to succeed and do well, which is what made it funny. But one of the things that I noticed straight away is, as a fan of Scrubs, the cast was very, very similar. Like, there was a lot of people in this. Now, if you watch Scrubs, there is a character in it who is ferocious, a female character. She's married to Dr. Cox. In real life, that actress is married to Bill Lawrence.
Oh, okay.
So everything Bill Lawrence does with a, and I think eventually she will appear somewhere. She tends to show up.
Krista Miller.
Yeah.
I know who it is. Yeah.
Now she basically, I mean, it's funny to me that Cougar Town, Scrubs, she was basically the same character. Like literally, she was the same vicious, nasty sort of killing people, but she was Courtney Cox's sort of best friend in it. But yeah,
holy cap! Just realised who she's in another show we're about to talk about as well.
Yeah, Shrinking.
Yeah.
So she's in, like, the Cougar Town was this kind of, it was a bit throwaway, and I think I watched that and it kind of finished, and there wasn't really anything else that I was watching, or there was kind of like a gap, like I watched Scrubs reruns, and they tried to do a reboot for Scrubs which just fell flat. With Scrubs interns, it just didn't work. And so the Bill Lawrence kind of shows and stuff like that, there wasn't really anything. And then one day, I'm talking to my brother on the phone, and he says to me, "So, have you got Apple TV?" I'm like, yeah, I do, yeah. He's like, "Oh, if you watch Ted Lasso." Now, Ted Lasso was a character created for a TV commercial when NBC got the rights to show English Premier League games in America.
Yes.
The whole reason I know that character at all, recognise the name, is because the club they chose to be part of this bit in this sketch was the team I support, Tottenham Hotspur. So if it hadn't have been for that, I wouldn't have ever heard of it or anything like that, but I knew the sketch. It was dumb. It was the whole premise of this American football coach being appointed a soccer coach in the UK with no experience, not knowing the game at all, duck out of water. So when I heard they made a TV series of that sketch, I thought that is going to be friggin' awful. Like, that is going to be...
Yeah.
Like, that joke's going to be funny for 5 minutes, and then it's just going to be cringy as hell. My brother said to me it was right around lockdown, like COVID, and he said to me, he was like, no, watch it. He's like, trust me, watch it. The show is brilliant. It's like got a kind of heart to it which you just don't expect, and it is like right now when the world's feeling pretty bleak, it is like a friggin' hug in a TV show. And I was like, okay, for my brother to talk like that, like, all right, I'll give it a go. I watched, I think it was like, I don't know how many episodes it is, like 8 episodes or something like that, or 10 maybe for the season.
Yep.
And I nailed it in like 2 days. Like, I literally watched the first couple of episodes and that was it, I was hooked. The show is based around football or soccer. It is
10 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, it is this fish out of water scenario, but it's brilliant. Like, I can't even describe. There's 3 seasons of the show. It tells a story complete from beginning, middle to end. Every character in it has depth, and every character in it there's a reason to like or dislike. And it is so... There's just so... The writing on it is so good. And I didn't know that it was Bill Lawrence initially. Like, I had no idea that he was involved in it. But it is. He's part of the team. So the guy who plays Roy Kent's one of the writers. It just... And the guy who plays Coach Beard was another one, key writers on it. But yeah, it is absolutely brilliant. Like, I can't... like, even if you've zero interest in sports, zero interest in football, soccer, you can watch that show and love it from start to finish. It is just so well written, so well acted.
I remember you watched season 1. I think you were most of the way through season 2.
Yeah.
When I finally kind of came on board. And I think I
gave it a go.
I got a new phone, and my new phone came with like 7 days worth of Apple TV. And I was like, oh, go on then. He keeps talking about this show. Go on, I'll give it a little look.
Yeah. And
I think I watched the entire season of 1. I say 10 episodes. I think I watched the entire season in about 3 days.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I remember laying there. I was in bed with headphones on, watching it on my phone. Because it was just like, I need to see what happens.
Yeah.
And it shows how good the show is that my wife does not like football at all.
No.
She hates that I watch football because I normally upset the children by jumping around and screaming and, you know.
Yeah, I'm really not a football fan. Yeah.
And I watched season 1, I watched season 2. I then went back and watched season 1 and season 2 with her.
Yeah.
And by the time season 3 came out, she was just as excited for each episode to drop as I was.
Yeah. Yeah, it genuinely...
Like, it's so much more than just a show about sports or football. Like,
I agree.
Like you say, the heart in it, the characters that are in it. You can find yourself absolutely hysterical laughter.
Yeah.
And then in the next scene, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Yeah, which has that Bill Lawrence to it, which, you know, he did that in Scrubs. He has that ability... And the writers for that show have that ability to tell a story which make you laugh, make you cry, which is, you know, you got to have the right actors as well, because like there's moments in it where you look at it and you think like the villain in season 1, if you like, is this owner of this club, and she's been kind of cheated on, and then her whole raison d'etre is, I'm going to destroy the last thing her ex-husband loved, which is this football team. I'm going to appoint this joke of a coach, all this kind of stuff. And you watch episode on episode and you start to realise she's not the villain in this. She's just someone who is so hurt, so angry.
Yeah.
And she's healing bit by bit and is being healed by him and his kind of enthusiasm and his kind of lust for life. But whilst he's doing that and healing her, he's suffering. Like he's gone around the world to coach a sport he doesn't really know. He's left behind his son. His marriage is breaking down. He and his wife have drifted apart. And he's struggling. And you're watching it, and there's just so much to it, and there's just so many aspects. And there's this amazing scene where she confesses to him, like, I did all this. Like I set you up to fail. I arranged these things to try and trip you up, and I'm so sorry. And you're kind of traditional TV shows of you get this kind of how could you you have this confrontation, and then eventually they'll come back around. And because of these shows and so much of that, you have these tropes in your mind. So when that happens, you're kind of oh, this is sad. They've been getting on really well, and now she's confessing. He's going to be pissed at her, and he just stands up and forgives her.
He just gives her a hug, and he's like, oh my God.
And he's and he says to her, divorce is really hard. And you realise, he's going through it. So he is probably the best person on the planet to understand that she is just hurting. And it's not about him. She didn't do it to hurt him or hurt anyone else. She was just hurting and lashing out. And yeah, man, I watched that, and this kind of... The writing is just incredible. So I can't speak highly enough about that. And whilst Scrubs was amazing, Ted Lasso to me took this to another level. And what is exciting and nervous for me is we now have more of both coming. So Ted Lasso finished after telling a complete story. And the writer's room, the cast and everyone kind of all looked at it and went, we can and we'd love to do more, but we have told the story. So unless we can come up with a new story with these characters, we're not going to do it. So they went away and really had a good think and really kind of went over it. And I then decided, actually, with these characters, we do have a really good story to tell, a different story. That is going to be both funny and, life affirming the same way. So, we're going to do more. So they are doing a season 4 of Ted Lasso, which I have that kind of nervous excitement because it landed it so brilliantly.
Yes.
I have that worry that, oh no, maybe it's not going to be as good. But then on the flip side to that, what I would say is, as a writer's room, they've earned my trust to kind of let them have a go. And I know, like, the first couple of episodes are going to be a bit different and a bit weird. And I know that, and I think everyone needs to know that, because it is going to be like, oh, look, there's new characters and there's new storylines. It's not literally like just picking up where we were. We got to tell a new story. And just remember that, like, the first time you watched Ted Lasso, it probably took you 2-3 episodes to get in, and then you were in. So
yeah, I do have a level of nervous.
Yeah.
Because of how perfect the film, like the series finished.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, wait, when you wrap something up absolutely that perfect.
Yeah.
There's always just going to be that little part of you that goes, oh, should you be going back? Like, if you can't end it any better than how you've just ended it, don't try. But at the same time, as you just said, like, seasons 1 to 3 was so good, you've kind of got to be able to say, yeah, do you know what? You guys know these characters.
Yeah.
You know the setting. You know where all this is based and everything,
Yeah.
If anyone can do it, I feel like it's this team, the people that could.
Yeah, and I also look at it from the point of view of seasons 1 to 3 is like a chapter. Like, that was a chapter. It told a story, beginning, middle, and end. If season 4 is like a new chapter, but the same characters, etc., or like, that was book 1. We're now going to go into book 2.
Yep.
I'd enjoy that, like, because that way it doesn't touch what happened, but we're looking at these same characters again, a bit like a spin-off, I guess. It's going to be interesting, but and of course, Scrubs is also returning, which is a massive big deal, and filming on that has now started. There's pictures everywhere, which is kind of cool. They've announced loads of the old recurring cast members are coming back, as well as like the main leads, so that's a lot of fun. I think
that was important. For that to come back, they had to have like everyone on board.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's really exciting. Now, so there's a Ted Lasso season 4 coming. That's coming to Apple TV. Scrubs, reboot. I don't know how they're doing it or what they're going to call it. That is obviously coming to network TV in the USA. But on Apple TV as well, we also have 2 more Bill Lawrence shows. One that you and I have both watched and love, and one that I don't think you've watched.
Not yet. It's on my list of shows to watch. Like, it's saved there as on like my wish list sort of thing. I need to watch it.
So we'll just do this very quickly, and that is a show called Bad Monkey. It's different. It's not quite the situational comedy. It is still funny in places, but it's based on a book that Bill Lawrence absolutely loved, and because of his kind of, hey, I'm the hit maker, I want to do this book that I like. Apple TV were like, yep, do it.
Okay.
Do your thing, buddy. It's starring an actor who I don't overly like, but what I would say in Vince Vaughn is he has written it to all of his strengths. Like, the character is Vince, it is him. Like, he has just kind of nailed it, so the way he delivers lines and everything like that, it's just all of it's in his wheelhouse. So I watched it and I was like, oh, good. Like, I really quite enjoyed that. Now, they're making another series of that based on the next book, which is really great. But this is what I'm kind of saying. This is kind of funny because Bill Lawrence suddenly has Scrubs returning, Ted Lasso returning, Bad Monkey Season 2 is coming, and so is Shrinking. Shrinking, the sitcom on Apple TV as well, is returning for a 3rd season. And it is Jason Segel and Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford in his first ever TV role. It's incredible. Like, I can't, again, wax lyrical about this because you can literally put this with Scrubs and Ted Lasso. It's kind of like almost like a merger where it's a little bit medical. There's psychiatrists, and shrinks, hence Shrinking. And the main character, Jason Segel, has basically lost his wife and had a complete breakdown. He's completely lost his way, and as he's finding his way, like starting to come out of that, we meet him. So like season 1 starts, he is in a bad place and has been for a while, but he is just starting to realise, like, I can't keep living like this.
He's drugs and alcohol and strippers in the pool, and
and his daughter's like a teenager just watching on. Like his next door neighbour is basically helping raise his daughter for him because he can't.
Bill Lawrence's wife. Yeah,
Bill Lawrence's wife again.
He doesn't give her very good roles. This is a bit like Tim Burton when he was married to Helen Bonham Carter. No, she was in every single movie, but never a great role. He doesn't paint his wife in the best light in something. She's a bit cuckoo.
I mean, I think having watched her be interviewed, she is a bit cuckoo. But
fair enough. He's actually played it quite well then.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun. But this again is another example of a show where you have these main characters. Harrison Ford, Jason Segel stand out as the absolute, like, oh my god, Harrison Ford's in a TV show. Like straight away you're like hooked on that. Jason Segel just lands this role perfectly. But then the whole ensemble all around them are so good, and the writing is so good. You are caring about characters that in the first couple of episodes you don't even know exist. And there's so much in the storyline to it. Like, I don't want to talk about that in specifics, I don't want to give it away, but there is like a storyline which is building in the show around, because of the darkness of it, like the depression and kind of things, and forgiveness, and like the whole ethos of the show, the whole philosophy and what they're doing is like they try and work on these things which feel impossible, like these mental health blocks, these kind of situations that you shouldn't have to live through, but if you do, how do you come out the other side and stuff like that. It's so interesting, and so
I would probably say Shrinking is probably the best TV show I've ever watched.
Wow, that's massive praise.
Like, I will actually, I've watched a lot of it. I genuinely believe the amount of layers that show has, and again, a bit like Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
you can be howling with laughter 1 second, and on the verge of tears the next.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
Almost instantly after that, something happens that makes you go, "Oh, okay." Like the emotions and everything that fall around that.
Yeah.
I genuinely don't know better written TV. Like that show from start to episode 1 all the way through. Just absolutely incredible.
No, mate, I absolutely agree with you. There's something to it that just feels like my brother described Ted Lasso as like a hug while the world needed it, and he was absolutely right. And Shrinking has this, I mean, we won't go too deep on this, but both me and you have had different times in our life from mental health stuff where it's like you feel like everything around you is like on fire.
Yeah.
And you just can't find a route forward. Like you're just kind of like, I know I have to keep going forward, but there's like no roads. Everything around me is on fire. Like there's no way forward. When you're watching this show and you see these characters facing all the different problems they're facing, the different things that have happened to them, and you're looking at it and you're like, that's, I can relate a bit to that. I can relate a bit to this. And it's all very human. It's all very kind of, how in the hell do you deal with that? Like, how do you find a way forward? And it's like every episode was like, okay, we're just going to talk you through it. We're just gonna talk you through how in the hell you deal with this, how in the hell you move forward. So I found it very cathartic, very but at the heart of it also just very, very funny. Like there's some stuff in it that you're laughing at and you're like, you gotta laugh. Like in life, like there are times in my life some stuff's happened and I laughed. And like people might look at you and be like, why the hell are you laughing? It's like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah, this is happening. My options are.
Yeah, this is the insanity I'm living in. Again, and I don't want to go into the details of this, but like I've been through a few things like health-wise and stuff like that, which have left me with loads of like limitations on what I can do for like significant periods of time. When you're in that kind of mindset, you can go dark really quickly. Like you can feel so alone, so isolated, and like it can go that way fast. Yeah. And there have been times where I like people say to me like, "Oh, you're always so positive about stuff. Like you always do really good with that." And I'm like, "Yeah, you got no idea." Like I'm kind of like that. You know, it's the whole swan thing. It might look like I'm all serene, but under the water, my legs are going like a motherfucker. You know. Yeah. So you're kind of like doing that and you're displaying that, and so this show just really spoke to me on that level, which is sometimes like there's been so much stuff land. And you had to deal with like so much crap. The only way is just to go, wow, okay, this is like, this is funny now. Like it's just.
Yeah, this is where we're at. Okay.
Yeah, like this is, like I've turned the page, thinking, do you know what? I'm feeling a bit better today. Oh no, actually, the world's gonna hit me with this. Okay, all right, you know.
Fantastic.
That's my own fault. I said I was feeling better. It was a mistake the minute I uttered the words. So yeah, it's a show that I think everyone can watch and relate to it. Even if you don't realise you're going to relate to it, I think you will for at least one of the characters in there, because there's so many things going on. Everything from his daughter dealing with like teenage problems and like her grief and how that impacts her life as a teenager, like losing her mum. And then you got him just being a terrible parent, but then trying to bring that back. So how do you redraw that, you know, parent-daughter relationship when you've been so absent, like so messed up? There's just so much to it that you can look at and just be like, oh wow, that really speaks. So again, I can't compliment Bill Lawrence enough, because these shows that we've just talked about, I mean, he's been involved in loads of others, but these are the shows that me and you know. But these shows, like if you look at it and how successful they are now as well, like Scrubs coming back as a reboot is like a massive thing. Like you can't go anywhere without people talking about that at the moment.
No, and it's a risk. It is a risk, but I hope it's going to be fantastic.
I think it's a calculated risk in as much as there is a real clamouring for shows that make you feel better by and large right now. Like you only have to look at like the shows he's done on Apple TV, Shrinking and Ted Lasso, both of them sort of deal with quite a lot of stuff, but overall, like an episode finishes, you feel good, you feel uplifted. There is a real need for that in a way, like, you know, a sort of heal the world kind of scenario. And you only got to look at the fact that Scrubs is coming back, Bad Monkey, Shrinking and Ted Lasso all renewed and coming back. Like 2026, he's going to have 4 shows, which in theory will all be hits, you know, on the surface. And it's going to be interesting what he does after that.
I'm looking forward. I think it's going to be a heck of a year.
And
there's not many people out there actually that have the ability to have that many shows coming out in 1 year at one time.
No. I mean he'll say it himself, which is good. He might be the showrunner, the kind of producer on these things, but there's a lot of other writers involved, which there are. But you have to have that one person who steers the ship. So, like, as good as some writers are and as funny as some writers are, you have to have the person that goes, yeah, that's funny, but where's the heart? Where's the kind of, like, that's just a sketch unless we add to it. And that's what he does so expertly, that weaves these into TV shows, which are watchable situational comedies, and not just joke. Oh, he fell over, joke, you know. But yeah. So this is the Bill Lawrence Appreciation Society. I hope anyone who's listening, who maybe weren't entirely sure who the hell he was, you're going to like look at this and be like, oh, okay, I'll give that show a go. please, 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 if we've mentioned a show you've not watched yet, do give it a go. The quality in the writing is just so good. I want as many people to see it as possible. But that is our show. That is the Bill Lawrence Appreciation Society. That is episode 13 of our podcast. I hope you've all enjoyed it. We'll be back next week with episode 14, which is going to be our Halloween special, because it's Halloween. We are going to be talking about, on the Halloween special, the zombie apocalypse. Now, this podcast originated as a Walking Dead podcast, but we're going to be talking about it from the point of view of if that actually happened and the different versions of like zombies that are out there and all the film genres, how would we really react? How would we really do? Because we've talked in the past like, oh, you know, if they're the fast zombies, I think I'll just jump. But is it that simple? Like with families and things, would you have to try and come up with a plan? So that is going to be our fun chat for the Halloween special. That is next week. Until then, everybody, you all take care, and I'm going to leave you with Stefan and his final thought.
Can you honestly, hand on heart, say you've never met a time traveller?
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.